Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Do you have a type? And I'm not talking about Swedish blondes here, of either sex. I mean, do you have a horological type? Is there a specific subset of the watch world that you love more than any other? For me, there is one type of watch that I find a little bit dangerous. I put it on and I just don't want to take it off again, and that is smaller, lighter, looser, fixed bezel, black dial Gada watches, ideally on a Jubilee. The perfect example of this is my Seiko Sarb 033. Now on an aftermarket Jubilee, I put that on and I just don't want to take it off again. And the watch that I'm reviewing today is another one of these really dangerous watches. It's the new Maen Brooklyn 36. Now I like Maen watches, I've been reviewing them on the channel on and off for 5+ years. They're not everyone's cup of tea though. They tend to be a little small for some, but I've always liked their style. Not always without criticism though. I felt the prices were good, but sometimes at the expense of build quality. So I'll be keen to have a look at their newest offering after a gap of 18 months or so. You saw the pop-up? This video is sponsored by Maen. I will therefore, of course, leave links in the description of the video to their website. They're taking pre-orders on the Brooklyn 36 starting next week on the 15th of March. If you sign up for their newsletter, you'll get a €40 discount on the pre-order price, which is not to be sniffed at. But the eternal question remains, is it any good? Let's flip the camera and find out. So what are we dealing with today then? Well, as intimated, it's a smaller, lighter, fixed bezel, dart dialed, go anywhere, do anything watch. Very much in the Seiko Sarb / Rolex Datejust 36 vein, but with one interesting twist. It features a Miyota triple calendar movement. This is only the second time I've seen this movement. It's a bit of a unicorn therefore. I will of course talk more about it in detail shortly. I tell you what though, Maen have certainly improved upon their packaging since I last reviewed one. This is much nicer. A better box with an individual watch container and space for additional straps, sold separately, downloadable instruction manual, a proper 2-year warranty and free international shipping. So the package starts off strongly. It all depends on whether or not you like the watch therefore. And I must say, I rather do. It's all very neat and tidy. Maens tend to be fairly classically styled. You can see here the mild sunburst, the step dial and the Dauphine hands. I'm sure you can also see what I was talking about, the triple calendar. So month at 3, date at 6 and day at 9. It looks like a chronograph, but arguably offers more functionality for this style of daily wear watch. And it has those dangerous dimensions, for me anyway, that mean it's a watch you put on and pretty much forget you're wearing. Those being 36mm in diameter with a thickness of 12.9, it has a super short lug to lug of only 44.8. 20mm between the lugs. The Jubilee does taper down to 16 at the clasp by the way. Sized up for me, keeping it loose, it weighs in at 117 grams. Now anything sub 120 gets an extra point in my book. Specific movement is the Miyota 9122, the crystal is boxed sapphire, but it only has 50 meters of water resistance from a push-pull crown, more on that later. It's an oyster style case, which means it's very comfortable. It has the signature high polished sides and only the faintest downturn on the lugs. There are 3 surfaces to the fixed bezel, 2 of them brushed, 1 of them polished, and then that box dome sapphire jutting up beyond that. It's a small crown though at 4.6mm, signed with an M for Maen, and you can see the pusher at the 2 o'clock. Date and day are adjusted using the crown, but the pusher is required to adjust the month. The bracelet, I do love a Jubilee. I like the look, they always have a good taper to them and they're just so comfortable because of the flex that is inherent to all those links. Now they are going to change from a pin and collar system in this prototype to screw links for production units. All I have to say is, thank f*** for that. Have you ever seen a pin and collar system on a Jubilee before? Nope, me neither, and now I know why. It wasn't great, put it that way. Screws for production units, thanks very much. Now this one features a butterfly clasp with the Maen M logo in relief on the centre. No micro adjustment though, so you're sizing this one in full links. But the links are small, just like the watch, so wearing it loose is definitely the way to go. Caseback is that semi-sterile Tudor / Rolex style, but with the ability to be removed by a normal tool as well. Never seen that before. Not sure why you would need the markings for 2 very different tools. Surely one or the other would have been sufficient. Anyway, Miyota 9122, 26 jewel hacking and hand winding Japanese made auto with a 40-hour power reserve and tolerances of -10 to +30 seconds per day from the factory. It does only wind in one direction though, and I could definitely hear this one spinning because of the smaller, lighter case. So only a push-pull crown, pull it out to the first position, wind it forward and you adjust the date, wind it backwards in the first position and you adjust the day of the week at the 9 o'clock. Now if you depress the pusher at the 2, you can see the month of the year indicator moving forward 1 month at a time. Now there's no perpetual calendar here, so you will have to adjust this yourself if the month contains less than 31 days. I'm surprised I haven't seen a few more 9122s over the years, but there you go. Dial and hands. I should point out that these are available in a number of different colour versions, all still with a fairly conservative colour palette. No purples, no yellows, green and copper are the most radical on offer here. I was sent perhaps the most conservative of them all, kind of dark grey black with even more grey. Looks good though, minimal branding with the brand name above the pinion and model name and automatic beneath it, and it's nice and symmetrical because of the 2 calendar subdials at 3 and 9 and the beveled date cut out at 6. Now the main dial has some sunburst, the subdials a little bit of texture, and that same texture can be found on a recessed minute track around the outer edges. There are also some little loom dots on that minute track. All indices are applied, high polished silver and sloped down towards the centre. The hands are really nice, high polished Dauphine style, beveled down the middle with a sliver of loom on each of the hour and minute, as I'll show you shortly. The second hand is a really simple, high polished silver needle. I think all 3 main hands are perfectly proportioned. Like I said, all fairly conservatively styled, but you have got a bit of texture, a bit of sunburst, a couple of layers, and some light play from the hands and the indices. It all works very well without looking crushed, which is always a danger with a smaller watch. There is loom on both hands and indices as discussed. Not much at this stage because this is a prototype. I'm assured production units will have more X1 grade Superluminova applied everywhere. A bit more is definitely required because it faded all too quickly here. So then, smaller, lighter watch, oyster case, Jubilee bracelet. This is a pretty pleasant on-wrist experience if you ask me anyway. Some guys aren't going to look at a 36, which I think is a bit of a shame, but then again it does come down to personal preference, I guess. Because of the contrast between the silver hands and the black dial, the watch retains a fair degree of legibility despite the smaller size, as you can see now from both the low wrist shot and the high wrist shot. And as you can also see, I'm wearing it further down the wrist. The flexibility of the Jubilee means it doesn't impede the movement on my wrist, which is of course preferable. Pocket shot to finish, again low and loose, very little colour in the watch today, so I'm adding some to this shot using my shorts. Alright, moans and niggles, there are a couple of flies in the Gada ointment today. Only 50 metres of water resistance. I spoke to Sebastian, the brand owner, about this, and he says it's because of the pusher at 2 that changes the month. It's a shame because 100 is the sports watch standard, and only having 50 pushes this one more into dress watch category. The crown is also really small. They are actually going to profile it slightly different so it sits flush to the case. I would love to see this one 0.5 mm larger in all directions at least. It would still look neat, but it would be more usable. And the side profile isn't quite as attractive as it could be. The crystal really juts up from the bezel before a fairly shallow double dome. I think the watch would have looked better from the side with a piece of better integrated double dome without the box and with just a chamfer running in line with the upper edge of the bezel. And I have a couple of complaints around the butterfly clasp. No half lengths, no adjustment, not a huge issue because it is a lighter and smaller watch, as I've said many times. I'm personally fine therefore with wearing it loose, but the pushers are a little bit sharp on wrist, which is a shame because the rest of the watch is so comfortable. And I think it's the wrong way round. To engage this butterfly clasp, you need to press the further section of the bracelet, the head if you will, before then clipping down the tail because it has the M logo and the M logo sits on top. That's counterintuitive. With butterflies and deployants, you click the tail section down first before then clipping the head down. Have a look at my Omega here. The Omega logo runs in line with the dial, but it clips Tail first and then head. I'm sure you can spin the Maen bracelet around for a more intuitive experience, but then the logo will be upside down. Easy fix for production units, just mount the bracelet the other way around and turn the M around 180 degrees so that it still faces the wearer, and take the edge off those pushers while you're at it. Now the price, I haven't talked much about the price yet, have I? These are €599 pre-order. That's roughly 640 USD. Now there is a discount of €40 available if you sign up for early notification through their website. That definitely helps, taking the price down to less than 600 US. But this is not a Swiss-made watch, and it's powered by an admittedly rather interesting, but still only a Miyota 9000 series based movement. Now I did question the price with Sebastian. He assured me that there would be a noticeable improvement in quality over previous models. Well, the box is definitely nicer, that's for sure, and the Jubilee is better than the bracelet on the Hudson as well. But I still think this one needs a couple more tweaks. Better loom, better crown, and a better clasp before it becomes a genuine, affordable Datejust alternative, or the Seiko Sarb killer that we are all still searching for. So there you have it, a nice little watch, but one that needs a couple more tweaks, I think, to take it to the next level. But there aren't too many watches like this out there, so I'm sure it will do well regardless. If you want to see the last Maen that I reviewed on the channel, click here, or still what I think is the ultimate affordable Gada watch, click here. Thanks for watching this one, I'll see you again in a future video, I hope.